Merepeka is the author of a long-running and highly regarded newspaper column, as well as serving as a board member and advisor to several not-for-profit organisations. She is passionate about encouraging and advancing the aspirations of Māori. E te iwi, te kāinga e te iwi, konei homai rā, homai koa mai, te piki paki paki, kia whaia Merepeka. Nau mai.
Kia ora tātou. No wonder I feel so bloody exhausted after listening to that, to that history of my work experience. Kia ora tātou. Merepeka Raukawa Tait no te wako o te arawa. Tēnā koutou katoa. Look, it's lovely to be here with you today. And I was just thinking about that. Yes, I'm going into my 4th term as an elected member of the Rotorua Lakes Council. And it took me 3 goes to get there. So, you know, you've got to keep going. And the reason I kept going, because I always thought I'm as good as anybody there at that table, actually better than most. Now, you might think that's rather a whakahihi statement to make, but it's actually very correct. Because whenever Māori sit at the table, we bring additional knowledge and additional skills. And part of those skills are that we actually, most of us will speak up. We'll speak up when we see injustice and we'll speak up when we see wrong. So it did take me 3 goes to get there, and I'm pleased I'm there. And we only have 2 standing committees, and I chair the Strategy, Policy and Finance Committee. If you're going to chair any standing committee, that's the one to be at the table on. But it does give you backbone. When you're around the table and you have to do the mahi that you do, you actually develop backbone. And for me, that actually came really when I was the Chief Executive of Women's Refuge. Because for every woman that is brutalised in this country, there are 6 people know it's going on and do nothing about it. And so those are women. They're not just statistics. They're women who have got families, and sometimes the families don't step up and know it's going on. And of course, a woman's life is severely blighted by that sort of going on in the home. But look, just want to say that I realise there are many people watching from afar, and to those people, thank you for also being in attendance today whenever you can. It's really quite important because it was only at the beginning of this year that most of us had our annual work plans all set out. I mean, allowing for a bit of flexibility, of course, but we thought we were pretty much in for a normal year, as much as normal can be. Well, by the end of March, that was all blown asunder, and we know, of course, what's happened there. And even yesterday, I wanted to come because now things have changed so much that I can't get out as much as well. We've only got 1 flight out a day to Auckland from Rotorua. So I got in the car and I drove. And I drove because I want you to know that I care. I chair the Whānau Order Commissioning Agency, and that's not an easy job. Because John and I constantly go to Wellington, and we go to Wellington and enter into an environment that is not conducive to supporting Māori to reach their potential. And we've got to realise that not everybody wants to act honourably towards us. So I'm so grateful that Whānau Order is actually here. And I'm very grateful that I work alongside of John Tamahere. Now, I know some people have said to me, well, how do you get on with him? Look, absolutely, I really enjoy working with John. Of course he likes to get his own way. Everything that John has achieved in Henderson at Waipareira has been hard won. Nobody's given them anything. In fact, if they could go anywhere else, they would go somewhere else rather than to Waipareira. But as John has said, we're claiming our territory. This is our area. And so you don't come into our territory without talking to us. And if we can do it better, and in most times they can, then thank you, we'll do it, and we'll take your resources as well. So I admire working with people like that will stand up. And in this environment now, we should be looking at the people who purport to take leadership positions on our behalf. Whether it's in a government department, when it's on some of our lands and trusts, all of our Māori entities, we should look very carefully. Because some of them I wouldn't want to work for me. Some of them I wouldn't want to work for. I mean, I like them. They're nice. I have a drink with them at any time. But that's not the point. The point is you've got to have somebody who knows what's going on, somebody who's prepared to actually speak up and really raise the issues and to go hard when it's necessary. So wishy-washy leadership these days will not serve us well. And so I say to them, you've had your time, please move on and let someone who can actually do the job, who's got the energy to do it, let them step up and give them the opportunity. But what we knew, I have to say I'm very, very thankful to our whānau order providers up and down the country. They really did the mahi over COVID when we went into lockdown. We didn't have the luxury of saying, oh, well, see you later, we'll lock up shop too, like so many did. And I can understand that, when you're confronting something that we'd never seen before, then obviously you want to look after yourselves and your families. But for us, we had Māori families who had always relied on their families, their external families, to help them. And when they suddenly have to go into a bubble, go into lockdown, not have that support, many of those families were very vulnerable, and to not have the support of whānau and some of the other people that they would be seeing from time to time, for them that was actually for many of them, that pressed the panic button. They had no little reserve, no little discretionary dollar. They had nothing, so they were really up against a rock and a hard place. And our providers, and indeed iwi providers and some other NGO organisations, they stepped up and they did such mighty work. So when we came out of COVID, what we did as a commissioning agency, we thought, well, we need to look after ourselves as we go forward now. You'll know that all around the country, everyone's talking about building back the economy. We've got to build the economy back. Well, that's all very well, but build it back for whom? Build it back for whom? Because we know prior to COVID, we had vulnerable families, and we weren't also part of the economy. And so if we're going to build back anything, then we have to build it back better, and we have to build it back with us in mind. And so this is the 7th and the final summit, economic summit, Māori Economic Summit around the country. I've been to 5. Because I really wanted to hear what the issues were so that we can inform the incoming government. We want to do a brief for the incoming government, whoever that might be, to say this is the real deal. This is what we can do out in our communities, but this is certainly what you can do for us. And as John was saying before, the procurement, some of those contracts, we want a percentage of those to come to Māori as well. But we have to put this together because nobody's going to do it on our behalf. Nobody's going to do it. Everybody will sink and swim in their own areas if we don't do something. So we got together as a board and decided, no, we would go out, we would fund the various hui summits around the motu, and this is the last, as I said, of 7, and I've been able to get to 5 of them. And each one of them has been different. Because in every region there are different resources available, there are different businesses, and so it's just been great. But the one thing is that we want a better deal. Nobody's going to build back better or build back in this country without taking our concerns and our considerations and our aspirations into consideration. We want to be heard. And so we're compiling all of this. We've done that with all of the hui that we've had so far. And as I say, this is the last. So within 3 weeks of us having a new government, we'll be able to brief the government as well. Not just the Ministry of Social Welfare and Courts and Justice and Health. We'll have our own going to the government. And we're actually going to say to them, this is the amount of money that we need coming into the communities, into the Māori communities, to do the big build back better that has to be done. And we want it done by Māori, for Māori, with Māori. No equivocation about that. That's what we want. That's what we want. Because I can tell you, we know our communities best. We absolutely know them best. We know when there's bullshit. We know when there's BS coming at us. We know, we hear all of that. So all I say is that when you know your communities well, you've got a vested interest in them. And right now, we're staring down the barrel of the Health and Disability Review. That's going to do away with it. Well, we've got 20 health boards, DHBs in the country. We're likely to see 8 to 10. So we're going to get a shrinking of those. And then they want to do away with the elected members. Well, I'm in my first term as an elected community member of the Lakes District Health Board. And I would never be appointed by any minister. I'm not ministerial material. I'm not ministerial material. And I've seen ministerial appointees. And don't tell me they add any more value than the community ones. They do not. They fly in and out. Many of them are good. They're nice people, you can't take away. And they've got some skills. But they're actually very narrow in their skill set. And they are. So they come with their specialist skill sets, and they don't really bring the breadth of experience and certainly not the knowledge of your community. And if you're sitting at the table and you've got a significant take, and you've got people there who have absolutely no idea, and you can see it, it's on their face. Well, I mean, you can't hide what you don't know. It's just there for everybody to see. So so that's a real danger. That's a real danger when the recommendation is to have only ministerial appointees. And so that means somebody that licks somebody's backside is going to get in. And that's about it, really, to be honest. So we don't want to have that. So that's why we're talking to you, and it's going to be great today to listen to what's coming through and the ideas, because we can't do it alone. And we can't take a briefing document to the incoming government if it doesn't truly reflect what you believe are the significant issues, where you believe you can do something through your own businesses and your own entities, but more importantly, what is it that you think we could do? What is it that our organisation could do or facilitate, or you think the government could do, and we can take that into the government and start absolutely knocking on the door of government and just saying, no, we're here, we're going to be a constant pain in the backside because the issues are significant. The housing issues are significant. Equal access to health services, all of those things are so important, and we know where we are in those areas. To stop the pipeline of our people going into prison. We weren't destined to live on our knees. We were destined to be upright, taking our place in our country and making the decisions at the table along with everybody else. This is our country, our future, our responsibility. Leave no one behind. And so that's why I'm so pleased to be with you today, and I hope I have the opportunity to talk to you. Nō reira, ngā mihi kia koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā tātou katoa. Kia ora. Thank you.